I'm Chris Barker.
And I'm Will Betts, and this is the MusicTech My Forever Studio podcast, brought to you in partnership with Audient. And we're coming to you this time from TYX Studios in London.
In this podcast, we speak with musicians, DJs, producers and engineers about their fantasy forever studio.
The fantasy studio that our guests come up with this time is one they must live with forever. But even in fantasy studio land, we do have rules.
That's right, the rules. Our guests can select a computer, a DAW and an audio interface for free. Then they get just 6 other bits of studio kit, plus 1 luxury item.
However, there's one more rule, isn't there?
Yes, no bundles. 100% no bundles.
That's right, choosing something that's sold as a package of software or hardware is not permitted.
That's right, our guest today is about to release his second album with psychedelic rock band Future Utopia.
He's also a Grammy-winning, Ivor Novello-winning artist, songwriter and producer who's worked with some of the biggest names in music.
So let's get started. This is My Forever Studio with Fraser T Smith. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for asking me.
Building the Fantasy Forever Studio.
Yeah.
Something that you've probably done while not being able to sleep late at night.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough, I was thinking, I honestly feel so grateful where I am at the minute. And I was trying to think of somewhere else, which is hard when I feel like I'm in my forever studio at the minute. But I've definitely got some
that gives us
some take homes and
a great opportunity for us to upsell some dreams.
Upsell your dreams.
That might come in again.
I love it.
Okay. Before we get to the building of the studio, briefly let's talk about how you came to be the music songwriting powerhouse that you are. Where did it all start? Did it start with an instrument or did it start with a computer?
Started with the piano in my nan's house in South London years and years ago when I was very, very small. Just found myself gravitating towards this piano as the parents were sort of talking and got kind of boring, when you're 5 or 6. I just found myself getting lost in the piano keyboard, which I still do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I've played piano on quite a few records, and I think because of that, people expect me to be like, I don't know, like a grade 8 but piano player, but I'm definitely not. And I'll be writing a song and people say, singers will go, can we just move it down a semitone? And I'm like, maybe should we have a coffee or go for lunch? Maybe you go for lunch and I'll just work that out while you So you
can't sight read music or read music?
No, I can't. But I think I've thought about this long and hard, and I've beaten myself up for many years about not reading music, and I actually just think the keyboard for me is meant to be this sort of
mystery
thing that I don't quite understand still, but just I find stuff on it that I like, and I do know like the names of the chords. I'm not going to say I'm that sort of out in the wilderness, but so I just used to experiment when I was a kid, and then I got bought a guitar, and then was a musician for many years, touring with artists like Rick Wakeman and Craig David on guitar.
What a combo!
Yeah, we're not together, but it was quite good.
That's a super great view. I might want to hear.
Sort of progressive
garage
two-step, it could be cool.
Yeah.
So just had a very wide grounding in music, going into studios and having to play like loads of different styles on guitar, and then touring with lots of different people. So I had the sort of musical apprenticeship was as a musician, but then I always had bands, and I was always the guy to. I think guitar players probably, I feel like sometimes, more often than not, I'd say the closest musician to the singer. So you'd be like, how you feel, should we write a song? And I'll come up with the chords, and don't worry, you do your thing, you come up with the lyrics, and I'll show this to the band, and we'll be that sort of dynamic. So I'd always be doing that. And I think sort of assuming the role of a producer through being the kind of band leader, I guess, in any one of the many bands I was in. And so then when I was in the studio for one of the many guitar sessions that I'd be asked to do, it would be great because I'd get to sort of access to the engineers. So when everyone used to leave, I'd go, like, who are the guys sitting at the back? Like, they're not the artists. And they say, oh, one's the producer and one's like the songwriter. And I was like, well, where are the artists? Oh, no, they're not here. I was like, that seems so weird, because I always just thought everyone was like Joni Mitchell, that used to just, as an artist, you'd always produce yourself. And it was like, no, it doesn't work like that. So that became, like, blew my mind. And then the cogs started going in my brain. I thought, actually, wow, I could be a commercial songwriter and a commercial producer, and I could kind of do this whole thing. So then I started on that journey in and that's been amazing. You know, make it sound like it's 5 minutes. It's like 20 years of
Yeah, of course.
of doing that.
Yeah.
You know, but I just it's so wonderful because I still get to play and I get to play music as a musician.
So was it
on the records.
Was it really? Did it feel really gradual and natural then, or was there one recording session or moment where it was like, okay, now I'm the producer-songwriter version of me? Like it's happened.
Well, I guess it's the crossover period was working on a track called "Can't Be Messing Around" on Craig David's first record. You know, and it's funny, like I don't think anyone could have anticipated how big that record would be. Craig came to me after having worked predominantly with Mark Hill on that record in Mark's studio in Southampton, and by all accounts, you know, it's quite run down, super vibey, and and I had a studio that was not that run down. It wasn't my studio. It was I was sharing it with a friend of mine, and but the gear was sort of dotted about, and I remember just in those days, I mean, it makes me sound like I'm 110, but I'm not that old, I assure you. But we were recording things to Tascam J88, and the I think Cubase at the time we were triggering stuff on my MPC, Akka MPC 2000, and it was just really kind of, so making Can't Be Messing Around on this record was very sort of ramshackle way of doing it. And then you look back and this record sold like millions of albums all around the world, you know. But it's kind of, I think it was a good introduction because it wasn't like I cut my cloth in Abbey Road or Air Studios or whatever. So I was very much from like a bedroom type of scenario where you do everything, you know, where you, as a producer, where you play and you, so I didn't,
But that would have worked for Craig David at the time as well, coming from
100%.
Coming from the Artful Dodger style studio to
100 was very similar.
You don't want to go straight to Abbey Road after that. It would be like
no.
strange.
So I sort of then
for creating anyway.
100%. So then I moved my studio into my flat in Acton, and that's when I met Kano and started working with Kano. And he approached me initially as a guitar player, and then we really just hit it off, and I was doing more and more production. So I guess the album that had the first sort of tracks on in bulk, I guess, was Kano's first album, which was amazing because the styles on that was so different. You know, songs like Signs in Life and Typical Me and Nobody Don't Dance No More. It is called that, just in case. I know you're thinking about the grammar, but it's called Nobody Don't Dance No More. I know it's grammatically,
I wasn't thinking about grammar.
You know, challenging.
My grandma lives in Leeds.
How is she?
Oh my God.
Send her my love.
Let's kick off the build. Where in the world would you have your dream studio if you could, and why?
The dream studio is overlooking Lake Garda in Italy.
Ooh.
But in an area that, I mean, but this is a dream, so put anything you want in here, right? So it's in an uninhabited area of Lake Garda. There's obviously, Lake Garda is quite popular, but it would have to be in an area where there's a kind of forest, and the forest overlooks the lake.
A George Clooney free zone.
A George Clooney free zone, although there would be an espresso.
Yeah.
An espresso machine, which is my luxury item. We'll come to that later.
Okay. So why Lake Garda then? Is somewhere you visited and just stunning?
I just love it. I love Italy. I love Italian people. I love the culture. I love the art. I love the music. I love the coffee. I love the food. You know, I've toured Italy, and we have some friends that live in Florence, and we go and visit them from time to time. I just love it. You know, the thing, it's the attention to detail, like every small detail, which I think resonates maybe with my personality. Hopefully I would make this studio as my current studio is set up, where hopefully people would say, I think people do say, that the small details are really important, you know, so that when artists come, there's things that artists need, you know, all over the place, and so it's well stocked.
Are you thinking it's residential, or is this something that people...
It could be, yeah. I think a lot of sustainable, maybe reclaimed palettes. We've got a barn adjoining our current studio, which is made from that, and it sort of seems to sound really good. And I think that means that it would be sustainable, which would be important to build something in the forest, but also lots of glass, so that we had lots of natural light coming in.
Okay.
Very important.
And the vibe is very calm, very kind of homely, is it? Not corporate?
No, not corporate at all. Very homely. lots of kind of jungle prints on the wallpaper. You know, very homely.
William Morris style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Ralph Lauren. Super homely, but professional and sort of clean lines, and beautifully sort of put together in terms of like the architecture of it.
Yeah.
So lots of nice pieces of art. But I mean, imagine like a mezzanine coming back, maybe the bar area above.
Okay.
So the main control room, the control area where you'd have. Do I get to choose the speaker? Is that one of the six?
It's one of the six.
One of the
Yeah.
six.
That is one of the six. Oh,
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The speakers, which we'll talk about in a minute, would be to left and right. You imagine huge pane of glass overlooking Lake Gaza. Look behind you, you've got all the instruments set up, and then you have a mezzanine area where it's like a chill out.
Sort of real world-esque-ish.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Does that, am I painting the picture?
Yes.
We got
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Very,
It's,
very well.
There
Great
might be
detail. I love it.
Vespa just parked outside to take two Vespas to take me and the artist I'm working with to a local restaurant.
Coffee, that kind
Coffee.
of thing. Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, that's
I
locked
think
in. It's in the
beautiful.
system.
It's in the
ordered.
system. Yeah.
Okay, now we'll move on to the 3 free items that everybody gets to choose, which is a computer, an interface, and a DAW. What are your choices here? It's kind of like the basics, the fundamentals.
Yeah. The one DAW.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can have another one, but it'll come out of your 6 items later
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
This is the free one.
Ableton Live 12.
Okay.
I think in recent years, I've always used Ableton with Pro Tools. And I love Pro Tools. But if I had to take one now, I mean, it's really hard because I use Pro Tools every day, but I think I would commit to the workflow in Ableton, bearing in mind I record a lot of live instruments. But I think, you know, the comping tracks now and the playlists are really, really good on it. And I just think, for me, Ableton enables me to create really quickly. You can loop stuff. You know, you can add plugins without it sort of glitching and losing the beat and all those kind of things that, for whatever reason, you know, Pro Tools is amazing, but it's like a tape machine for me. And I know you can do loads of stuff with the new Sketchpad thing that's incredible, but
you essentially see Ableton as a bit more of a idea generating tool than a creative tool.
which I think for me is everything. But my latest Future Utopia record, just to give that a shameless plug, which we can, but it's related, out on July the 12th. All good record shops near you. We did that all in Ableton, which is interesting. We Scott, my engineer, and myself I'll usually start an idea in Ableton and then we'll port it across to Pro Tools, which is lovely, and I love doing that. But we ended up just staying in Ableton because so many of the chains that we had, I don't know, it can sometimes sound and feel a bit different when you bounce stuff out, and then just the bussing, the way that it all comes together.
So was that right to the end?
Right to the end, and then we
wow.
mastered it.
So it was even
as well.
it was mixed in Ableton.
Mixed and mastered, yeah.
Wow.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, very
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Ableton would be the DAW
Good choice.
store of choice.
Computer, I guess Mac, PC, Atari. No,
Like it. I mean,
You wouldn't be able to put Ableton on Atari, sadly.
it doesn't have to all work together, does it?
oh, that's
Just
good.
have the box of Ableton.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we could. I guess you'd have the standalone push could be one of your other items, and then you could
that's-
be like
that's
a
a
complete standalone studio, which would be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to go the trodden path of
Yeah.
a Mac cheese grater
Okay, going for it.
Mac.
Yeah,
Mac Pro,
And
yeah.
what was the other three?
an audio interface,
Audio interface,
fantasy. So
fantasy. You see, I've been down the fancy road.
which is
Things like prisms and which are fantastic. I'm with a UAD Apollo now, and it just what I love is that it's everyone has them. They're so ubiquitous. So it kind of interfaces with lots of different.
so what we're going for
People-
the X8P, the preamp one, or
Could I go for an X6? Can I only have one?
Can only have one.
Okay.
one interface? Yeah,
X16, I think.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
With no pre's.
It would have to have the pre's.
Well, it doesn't have to.
I'd like it to.
Well, you can have
What do you-
It was a bit flirty, that. Felt a bit flirty. Preamp. I've never flirted over preamps before.
Don't lie.
Don't
It's a bit flirty because I'm trying to not use up my
Yeah,
my
I know, that's
six, you know,
like-
and
I
I'm,
see.
I'm
Okay.
like
It
sugar.
was a hack. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you
Charm.
can have the preamps on the X8P.
So there aren't the preamps on the X16.
No
Okay.
preamps on the X16.
Shit.
Mm.
Will have to be the X8 then.
Okay.
With how many preamps does that come with?
8.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Heaps.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do. I love all the universal audio stuff, but we do have a external clock, which in the studio, which is not going to be one of my 6.
No.
But it.
It's worth a mention, though. What did you clock with?
That's a good point. Which clock is it? I'm sounding like not the guy I thought I was. I thought I was way more techie, but I think in recent years it's brown. Does that help?
Just put it's brown.
Brown clock.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Hang on,
Google,
that
but
sounds like something your grandma's house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's got a funny name. It's part of the furniture almost.
Things that aren't. Sorry, anybody listening, I just overlooked Will Google brown clock and then be surprised when actual just clocks that are brown appeared in Google.
unbelievable. Okay.
Well, that brings us on now to the meat.
The meat.
Or the main
the
course.
big 6.
The big 6. Yeah.
The big 6.
Okay, so set up to record. We've got our 8 preamps. We've got a great computer. We've got a great interface.
Mm-hmm.
And a great location.
Super
So
location.
what's your item number 1?
No, I'm assuming. I mean, you guys are quite hard. I'm assuming that a pair of speakers is 1. I mean, don't.
It is.
Yeah,
don't-
it is.
don't-
It's, but yeah,
you
we
know.
wouldn't go.
It is
Yeah.
one.
The weird thing, sometimes you look at the
Sell them individually, yeah. And sometimes
they're selling speakers individually. I don't know.
I guess
you
it's
look
for
at the
surround
price.
sound. But what I don't like is it's not consistent. It's not even consistent on the same shop.
No, that's true.
So
I know
like-
someone who literally just bought a Genelec, a single Genelec
Oh,
speaker,
gutted.
Yeah.
thinking it was the price for 2.
Oh no! And you're
Bad
going to get
news.
that TPG are going to turn up. It's
Yeah.
just going to be
Sad.
in mono. Well,
Yeah. Well, good work.
Good work.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go back to the old school days. But my
Back to mono.
Yeah.
my speakers would be the Barefoot. Which Barefoots would they be? They would be
The biggest meaning.
not the biggest
No.
ones.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to use up 2 credits on some. I think I'd be good on the micro mains.
Okay.
Okay. Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I've got 2 pairs in my current studio and I love them.
And that's not a small speaker either.
It's not a small speaker. I think it fits.
And are they the ones with the passive radiators on the sides
Yes.
as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Sort of size of the focal twin 6B, those ones, right? Or are they bigger than those?
They're... Show us with your hands.
Well, they're about that big.
Oh, they're bigger. Okay.
So they're like
Yeah.
2 foot
Yeah.
tall. Sort of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Anybody watching and listening? So they're £11,000.
Yeah, they're not
Okay.
cheap.
They're meaty
they're
speakers.
proper-
Good.
proper
They're
good
fantasy speakers.
Yeah.
Good.
They sound great. I love the way they sound, and they've got loads of low end. But
It took a while for them to get popular this side. They were huge in America, that brand.
Barefoot, yeah.
Saw them in, like, when Focal was sort of getting really, really popular here, they were the kind of US choice. You go to studios and they'd be the equivalent. This is like 10 years ago when I used to travel around doing that kind of stuff. But, like, now they seem to have stuck here as well. You see them a lot more. Is it an American brand?
It's an American brand.
That's
yeah.
probably why then.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Where did you come across them then? What was the story of you?
When I moved into my current studio, which is out in the country, I wanted to get some speakers that could translate into different areas because I've got a production rig, but I've also got where the desk is and I've got ATCs as the main monitors, and then the Barefoots, and I just thought I'd try them, and they sound brilliant. You know, I've had Genelecs before, which are great, and the Genelecs I've had before have been tuned to the room. I've had Gathane, I think is the way you
Oh, yeah.
pronounce it.
Yeah.
Which are great as well. I think it's like what you're used to. I don't think there's such a thing as like. I mean, there's obviously you want something that sounds good, but if you're referencing stuff all the time, you just get to know them, don't you? And all speakers have their pros and cons. But I like the ways these sound. I mean, it's weird, people for years, people were on the Yamaha NS10s, and I was like, Why would you put yourself through? I mean, I know you say you can hear everything, but they just don't sound great. And of course, I had some. But I was just thinking, but I just want things to sound good.
As well. Yeah, it's got to be fun.
I want things to sound nice. And that's not to over flatter the things, because I'll always reference. You have that sort of soul crushing moment where you think everything's sounding great, and you're in the room, and then you put a reference track in that's already massive and been mastered, and you're like, oh God, everything's so quiet and like sounds dull or whatever.
Yeah,
but then that's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you think that comes from your background in writing rather than coming from a background in engineering, that you're thinking in terms of you want it to be a fun experience rather than wanting it to be necessarily the most clinically accurate representation of what you're listening to? Is there an element of that?
I think there's an element of that. When you're writing songs and you're also producing, you'll be listening to stuff that's fun. I mean, it would also not, I don't want it to be unrepresentative of what I'm putting in and what, because that's really important. But I just think that when you know what the speakers are doing, that's more important to me, than, I guess, accuracy is, in some ways, is relative in some ways, So I think I think all the big names, they're accurate, but they impart a sonic something characteristic, which is, everyone's going to like. It's taste, So
okay, interesting.
Locked in.
Item number 2 is a Akai MPC 4000 drum machine. Now, there have been many
iterations of it.
Many iterations.
So 2000 with Craig David, was it?
Yeah. 2000. I just can't get away from this. I really try. I love Akai, and I love, I've got a Akai MPC-X. I've got MPC Live, and I love them in all of their fashion. The MPC Live with the speaker, it's just sounds crazy, but we were in the tour bus before Christmas, and we'd have Beat Club where we'd all come up with a beat and then present it to each other. The speaker and the back of the splitter.
Cool.
Just it's so cool.
Yeah.
And the MPC-X, all the things you can do with it, phenomenal. But I don't know, when it comes down to it, I'm just straight back to the 4000, and the resolution on the screen. The screen is small. There's no reason for me to be back to it, other than
what is it?
Just is home to me, and I've just made so many records on an MPC 4000. I'm not even trying to be cool and old school and wearing my cap back to front or doing any of that stuff. I'm really not, and I'm trying to hear it in terms of like the swing on the MPC-X is amazing. I'm not that guy either that will get into heated debates about swing from a MPC 60 to a, nothing about that. But I just, if I've got that, I just know I'm good.
Because you know it so well, and you can just get to where you want to go, or
but
it's funny that's where it stopped, because you went. So you've been 2000, and then it got to that, and you've tried all the. But
I think the difference between the 2000 and the 4000 in terms of MIDI ins and outs, I think there's more MIDI ins and outs on 4.
Okay.
So you're triggering other stuff with it.
Yeah,
as well.
I just feel that I can come up with something that's just, for me, feels really engaging and great, and something that I would really want to continue with less options. I think that's maybe the thing. Sometimes when you sit down at the drum machine, to have all these options of things you can do.
So you're sampling into it at all?
The 4000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's limited, but I do think that's, but like a guitar is limited.
Yeah.
As opposed to a guitar synth. But I think that, all instruments have their limitations, but what they do, if you pick the right instruments, what they do is really good at the one particular thing. And I think that's great. And I think then you can, for me, then starting in that way with limitations, and then you get into the world of Ableton, which is limitless, really.
Yeah.
That's you're in a different headspace. But I think from the beginning.
So is that where
process,
it starts? Would you say you would start, especially in the Forever studio, but in your normal day to day, would you start ideas there and then go to Ableton? Yeah. So that's your main hub.
That's the main hub, and I think for me as well, the limitations of having the drum machine, but also maybe some module and a synth. So you've got currently what do I have? I have a Oberheim OB8X as one input and a Moog Voyager on another. So essentially you've got drums, a bass line or a lead synth, I mean bass line really from the Moog Voyager, and then one part from the OB8X.
It's the bones of a track straight away.
I'm quite minimalist like that. You know, I know.
Well, it's that old phrase as well. If you can't get something good from that, then it's not a good idea. As in, like, that's the bones of most music there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that then you can get into, you know, the layers within Ableton. It's more sound design at that point. I mean, obviously, I will also start lots of tracks within Ableton, and that's fantastic. But that's my favourite way of making music. And I think that you can, the way that the sequencer locks in the other two things, well, in my case, the Voyager and the Oberheim, it's just so tight, and it just feels like it. For me, like that rhythmic dependability is really important to start things off. So that is what somebody, well, a lot of people say about those old archives, though, isn't that MIDI timing thing? And again, without going too nerdy about it, people have said that it isn't translated into the modern ones, but I don't know.
Is there an element of that you don't get any of the same latency that you might through
100%.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I know, like, again, I know the machine, NI machine is great, but whenever I played it, it's just, even on 64 samples, I don't know, it just didn't have that I was just used to, and that's, so it's, you know, maybe a failing on my behalf, definitely not a failing with Native Instruments. Their stuff's amazing, but just something that I could feel, and, you know, I mean, I would get nerdy on, say, like, the pads. It's just, you know, the pads on a 4000 compared to even MPC-X, there's something about, like, just the build quality. It's like a tank.
Yeah,
you know, you just,
that's a great way to put it.
I don't know, when you're hitting stuff.
Yeah,
the MPC-X is built brilliantly, but the 4000, I think it's better built. It's better. Yeah. It's just going nowhere.
They were built with more performance in mind, I think, whereas now it sort of feels like they're built for programming a little bit. I don't know.
Well, on the MPC-X, don't the pads light up as well? Is that the...
Yeah.
But then on the 4000, were they just grey?
Yeah.
Classic grey ones, yeah.
So you have to go through and something you can't remember which but this is half the thing. It's half the, you know, and you're looking into the screen, and it's some of the times the screen's got lines on it, because that's what happens after you leave it on for too long, and just all these sort of crazy things. But it's great, you know. I think it's
funny how it's sort of fetishized all of the problems, but it's kind of like we like that.
No, I'm not. I'm honestly no. I'm saying I'm saying that I'm trying to. I'm not fetishizing it. I'm like saying I should be on the MPC-X. I mean, everything else in my life is designed to be kind of easy. I mean, I've had old cars, and like me and old cars just did not get on, and I've had cars falling in love, you know, and be like, no, this has got to go. I can't, like, where's the heater? The heater's not working. No power steering. Like, what's that about? You know, things like that. So it's not about that, but it's they just they sound brilliant. Well, they sound brilliant to me. So
well, that's in, and we move on.
That's locked in.
Yeah.
Item two done. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is a Gibson Hummingbird acoustic guitar.
Lovely.
Yeah. I've had
any particular year, any stolen from any particular artist or era.
Something I guess in the 70s would be really good. And I don't even know whether that's the revered decade of Gibson Hummingbirds, to be honest. I've got one.
That would be our colleagues on guitar.com that would
they would know that.
Know the answer to that.
Yeah, the ones. But I've got I think it's pretty standard Gibson Hummingbird, and
when did you get yours?
About 3 years ago.
Okay. Oh, so quite new.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. It just resonates. The sound of it is so warm. It records so well. I'm just in love with that guitar. And
did you have to play a few, or like
no?
People say the real nerdy guitar guys, I don't know, so that different hummingbirds will sound different.
Yeah,
you know,
like real hummingbirds. Each one's different. Yeah.
No,
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I just
first one you tried, that was the one.
I've got some great friends over at Gibson, and they sent one over for me to try, and I was just like, I love it. Can I buy it? And it was just simple. I don't know. I'm not nerdy in that respect. If I like something, I just go for it. It just feels good, and that's very sort of visceral in terms of how instruments feel. And I think that when something's good, it's
70s one that you've got up there looks very nice.
So what sort of finish? You want a sunburst or natural?
Sunburst, yeah.
Sunburst, yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. And in terms of the breakdown of how you start tracks, because you say that, you know, the MPC is having the limitation of that. What's that split between starting on a guitar, starting on piano, starting on the MPC? What's that?
It could be any of the above.
Just whatever takes you fancy at that particular moment, or
whatever the song is going to require, whatever kind of feel.
So will that dictate depending on the artist?
Yeah, 100%. And if I'm writing for myself, then depending on what kind of song. But I think the MPC is such a mainstay for me in terms of the drums will always come from that. The drums are really important to me. So.
Are there any counters to that story? Like, as in, there's some songs that you hear that were written on piano, and you think, how is that written on piano? Like, the end product is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, one I always think of is Andrew WK's Party Hard is apparently written on piano.
Oh, really? What was it?
Which is so it's just straight up pop, like heavy rock.
Punk,
yeah. And it doesn't seem like you can imagine writing that song on piano.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I guess with the sort of production side, I'm in my head, I'm thinking the kind of song.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that if I'm working on a particular song, I think the piano just brings out so many different emotions, as the guitar does, as certain synths do, and I think that you're going down that road, and then if it's not working, you're trying like a different vibe, you'd come off that. I would come off that. Yeah, I was trying to think if there's any examples I have of songs that were, made their way.
It's funny, of Kano record written on acoustic guitar. Finger picked.
Well, he's a guitarist, so that might make sense.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much like typical me was electric guitar, and I think Kano would, if I was starting to play a song and he wasn't resonating, he'd be like, no, put that down immediately.
I suppose if you're in the room, it kind of ends quite quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gibson is in.
Three
items.
Three
left.
locked.
Yeah, three locked, 3 to go.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a big one. We're gonna have space though. It's fantasy, right?
Yeah.
You've got all the space.
I thought you meant big one as in.
What, emotionally?
Yeah, emotionally. Like this is a big one.
Oh no.
For me to build up to say. Okay.
This is a Steinway piano.
Yeah.
Steinway Model B. Which would be restored by a company called Piano Restorations, who are friends of mine. That's a great family-owned business.
Can you answer our questions that we had on the previous? I thought they only went up. I thought D was the only one. So there's a B.
There are others. Yeah.
There's a B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's an A.
What's the naming conventions? How does it relate
D is
to
the largest. D is the concert grand.
It's a sizing.
It's a sizing
Yeah.
thing.
So how big's the B then compared to a D?
A B is
Smaller.
definitely smaller. To me, it's not a baby grand, although I don't know what the official thing is. But I've just taken ownership of this piano, which is why I would ask for, and it'd be lovely to get another one, because I'm assuming that this would be like a second studio. It's an addition, isn't it? The Forever Studio.
No, this is the only
This is your
place.
forever
Well, so
studio.
I have to sell my house.
Yeah, that's
You've
it.
got to just uproot your entire life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. It'll still be the Steinway Model B.
I've been educated on this now. I'm glad we found out. We had this question. We were riffing on the numbers and what that meant.
Just a few episodes ago, yeah.
It's
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's kind of a baby grand, I would call that, but I don't know.
Yeah. Child.
adolescent.
Toddler.
It's bigger than a child.
Toddler.
I think. Yeah,
Adolescent
I've
grand.
seen other baby grands and they're a lot smaller. I don't know. It seems to be like a grand. Yeah, it's pretty big. But the D is the concert. It's the you'd need to be able to play some Chopin to take ownership of that, which I definitely can't. So
That's the prerequisite.
yeah,
in your mind, at
but
least.
the Model B.
That's what they do in the piano shops, isn't it?
Play C to F.
This isn't for you.
Yeah, get out.
It's like no stairway. No,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
Chopin. No piano.
Okay, fair. And have you got it in black in this wood finish?
I've got it in a mahogany.
Ooh,
That's the one we're
And
looking at right now.
Beautiful. You imagine
Google.
yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The low end on it is just, and the low end is so deep and warm and rich, and the high end is so sweet. It's unbelievable. And this, would have to come from Piano Restorations, who are just a fantastic family-owned business. Paul Leverett and his father. His father is, I think, in his mid-80s and is still working there every day. Wow. And his father used to import Blunthner grand pianos and in the 60s and 70s, so was importing these pianos for like Let It Be, the Beatles and the Abbey Road, and would come in and then tune them. And yet he is still around, like doing whatever you do to restore a piano, but literally going into the minutiae of filing down whatever you have to file down, tiny, and he's still there doing it. And his son Paul has now taken over the running with it as well, so that his father is still working, and it's just fantastic. And this piano, I don't know, it's just to bring things back to life is fantastic.
Has that made it onto any records? Is it on the Future Utopia?
There is a little bit, but it's not, just a tiny bit. But there's it's on a Snow Patrol album.
Okay.
That I've recently finished, which I'm very proud of. Everyone that comes just
is that out yet?
absolutely loves it. No, it's not.
No.
So
when that comes out, that'll be that piano sound.
Yeah, there's a great young artist called Bee in Her Business, who we did a song called Me Against My Head, and the first song, literally I'd had the piano like a week and wrote this song on piano. It's all that.
Was it when you get something? Does the songs come out of you?
They really do. Yeah, they really do. I love. I've read a lot about Johnny Marr because I'm a Smiths fanatic, and I love Johnny Marr. And I've got this book called Johnny Marr's Guitars, and he says all these wonderful stories about these amazing guitars, this collection he's got. And he was like, this guitar had a lot of songs in it, and I bought this in New York.
It's a great phrase. I heard him on the radio.
The Queen is Dead just came out of it. I love
the
that.
guitar had a lot of songs.
Yeah,
in it.
Almost taking away his genius. It's like, it was the guitar that did it, not me. But I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And I feel like this piano's got a lot of songs in it. So
love it.
Two more left. We're going to need something to record this Gibson and this piano with.
Yeah, we are. You've given me a hint then, because to be honest, I hadn't really thought this through in that way.
We try and help.
Yeah.
But it's 6 for a reason. It's meant to be a challenge.
Yeah, no, that's good. So my microphone of choice is going to be the Manley Gold.
Okay.
Nice.
I love this mic so much.
I don't think that's been chosen before.
It's never been
Really?
chosen before.
No?
That's good. Like
That's good, yeah.
Like to be
It is nice.
a leader, a
Trend.
a trendsetter.
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
Why the Manley Gold? What's your history with it?
My history is, I've had it for about 2 years, and I've had Wonder Audio CM7, fantastic. Had the Sony C800G, which is an amazing mic. Not amazing on everybody, but it's on when you get the right rapper or singer on it. It's really, really great.
Yeah.
The Manley, to me,
Can you qualify what that is? Like between the right person, like somebody's tone of voice, like what would they have in their voice for you to go, their voice is going to work great on this mic?
I think you just have to try it. There's certain frequencies that it picks out that can be.
But you couldn't tell from somebody singing generally. You would have to just have it a test.
You'd have to have.
Yeah.
I would have to have them for them to record in the booth, and sometimes you just know it's like a 2K thing that it pulls up a lot. It's not great, but then another rapper or singer will walk in and it'll just be like a dream.
That'll be what they need to
dream.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not like a. Personally, everyone's different, but when artists are singing, all manner of artists, or even myself, you just want to get on with it, and you just, there isn't that time to be like, let's just test 4 mics while you warm up. It never has happened, and I can't imagine a situation where it would, unless you
in the
were...
80s or maybe.
Yeah, I just
The heady music
if you're
days.
working for a music production magazine, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Been there. Yeah.
or another producer or something.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
recording another producer that sang. Maybe you'd just
Yeah.
be like, let's get the the revered sound or whatever. But
Totally, yeah.
so for me, the Manley is like a Swiss Army knife, but it's like a Swiss Army knife made of gold, because it's a Swiss Army knife. You could sort of go, oh,
Which is also very Swiss.
yeah. You could say jack of all trades, master of none, but it's like jack of all trades, master of all. I mean,
Wow.
Scott and my engineer, we're like, should we use the Manley? Yeah. I mean, now it's got to the point where it's anyone can go on it, and they sound incredible, from Lewis Capaldi to Gary Lightbody, very different singers, to Be in Her Business, to Avellino, the rapper. Just whether it just works with our vocal chain, or
And still good for your piano and your guitar recording as well.
I think I've never used it on piano, but I mean I can't see any reason why it wouldn't. But we used it on guitar. It sounds amazing.
It looks amazing as well.
And you've
doesn't
used it
looks,
with the Hummingbird, have you, as well?
Oh yeah,
Heaps.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible.
And so, what specific records can we hear that vocal sound on? You said Lewis Capaldi. Is there a specific record?
Lewis Capaldi songs that we did aren't out yet. So, well, Be in a Business. There's some Nia Smith stuff which is going to come out. A lot of the new Snow Patrol album.
Nice.
Yeah, so lots of different opportunities to hear that.
So still quite a relatively recent purchase for you then.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just set up and
Yeah.
just ready to go.
Okay, locked in. Final item before we have. Then we'll have a quick.
hard,
We'll have a quick rundown for any last minute changes, and then we'll go on to your luxury item before we close the show. So, item number 6.
Item number 6. I'm just now going through the chains. I should have thought this through a little more deeply, because we're going to the mic pre's. No, it's cool, because the Universal Audio stuff we can compress on the way in. We've got good options there because we have software, right?
Yeah, you get what comes with the card. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. So we've got.
You don't get the whole bundle of
No
all
bundle.
of the UAD stuff. I don't want to have to hit you with the air
I
horn.
love the rules.
But yeah, anything that it comes with when you buy it.
Yeah, so you'd have an 1170s. You'd have a nice.
You get some options. Yeah.
Some
Some good
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Did I get a MIDI keyboard?
No.
You
I got
guys.
nothing.
I don't know. That feels like that would.
What? Oh, are you trying to hack it?
No,
I'm not trying to hack it.
There
I'm not trying to
are
hack it, but I mean,
ways that you
that's-
could hack it.
There are ways you can hack it.
You do have a keyboard there.
You do.
I mean, you have a piano, so
Well, that's not. Yeah, I mean, you could replace the Steinway
I'm not going to put a MIDI retrofit thing on a Steinway. I don't know. It just didn't.
or a
wouldn't fit.
Clavinova,
right.
Clavinova, is it?
Yeah.
Get one of those.
Disclavier, or
Disclavier,
whatever
sorry.
that, or the
Disclavier,
Steinway
yeah,
equivalent.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a no.
Well, I am going to go for a Dave Smith Prophet 6. Then.
Ooh.
Can't upsell dreams to a.
Upsell your dreams.
To a Prophet 10?
No. I had a Prophet 12. I didn't like it as much as a 6.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it about the Prophet 6 then?
Again, immediacy is quite.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe I need to develop some more patience.
Absolutely not.
No.
I won't hear of it.
think things are going fine.
Yeah.
Stick with
Prophet
it.
12. I don't know.
Don't mess with the formula, Fraser.
Formula is good. It's doing well.
It's quite simple, isn't it? You can make sounds on it really easily. The effects are just right there on the top right hand corner.
This is a bit of a hack because then you get your MIDI keyboard.
you get your MIDI
Yeah.
stuff. That was the bit of the hack.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you got one then? You've got a 6.
Actually, not at the minute.
Ooh.
Interestingly, but I'm gonna get one again. I've had one, sold one. I tend to sounds crazy, but I tend to buy equipment for certain projects and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just get bored of them and then regret it. I think I've had like 3 Manley massive passives in my life. I'm currently out of I've got one wife who I love, and I'm hopefully if she feels the same, I think she does. I'm going to be with her forever, But I'm almost like with gear. I'm almost like I've got 6 ex-wives.
A bit of a
I've had
cad.
3. A bit of a cad. I love you. I hate you. You're not giving me the sound I want. You're going on reverb, or it's like, I don't know.
Wow.
a bit of a cad.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not. I'm a
The gear
minimalist.
cad.
Gear cad.
I'm a minimalist.
Yeah.
I don't like having stuff that is sat around.
But and I guess if you've got songs out of equipment, like as we said with the guitar, if you've got songs out of it for a particular project, it feels like it's done and it's got its value there. If you've
It has.
if it's on records, it's on recordings, then and
I feel like I'd like other people to use it as well. I'm not a collector, but I worked with Damon Albarn and Gorillaz once. Damon's got it really sussed because he's got so much equipment. But when you go into the studio, it's relatively minimal. But whether he decides or his engineer will just decide the pieces that are set up.
yes,
So you go in and there's like
that's wicked. That
2 synths and then if it's not,
it's like a store cupboard full of toys. And then
yeah,
you bring
that you
them in
can
as
just
you
draw
need.
on,
Yeah.
you know, which is I think
That is
that's
quite
really
that
cool.
is a nice way to do it.
And that's a good way of not being like me, like shit. I wish I hadn't sold the CS80. Or, no, I've never had one of those. But
But there's got to be something that you would never sell. Is there anything in your gear hoard at the moment that you would never get rid of?
that's a question that's been asked. Could I give you a few? I'm not a hoarder. So there's a Tom Anderson electric guitar, which I played on my latest record. Played a lot across this record, but also I bought it specifically to play with Kasabian, and I worked on the Alchemist Euphoria with Kasabian, and then Serge, who's a great mate of mine, said we would love you to play with us at 3 gigs, notably Nebworth.
Wow.
And I played this guitar at Nebworth, and I'm just like, I could never sell that. It's a funny story actually, because it was the year of the Jubilee, and my wife Sarah, who's my manager, had invited some friends. We were like hosting the village Jubilee fete on the Saturday, and Sarah knew I was playing Nebworth, but she didn't know that I was playing on the Friday and Saturday. So then it came to the point where I was saying, but we've got the fete, but I'm going to have to leave. Sarah went, why? You're playing on the Friday. Why do you need to do the second night? I was like, Nebworth? In front of 100,000 people? Playing clubfoot? I don't need to do that on the second night. I definitely do. Like, if this was like for 1,000 more nights, I would need to do every single night for a thing. Like, you could never get bored without music, and it's at Nebworth. Like, we're supporting Liam Gallagher. Like, yes, definitely. So she banished me to pick up dog poo in the garden as a sort of, I don't know, as a like get back down to earth. You may be playing Nebworth, but it's still some dog shit that needs cleaning up in the garden.
That's fair.
So it brought me back down to earth.
Yeah.
Performing in front of 100,000 people, and I was like pooper scooping up this stuff all around the garden. I was like, hang on a minute, I was having a dream last night, and now it's reality.
I'm sure Liam was doing it that next day as well.
He probably was.
Probably
was.
Keeps it real.
Yeah, keeps it real. Okay, well, as we're closing on time now, let's get to the end. We're going to get Will to give you an overview of this studio you've just built, and then we'll get on to the final luxury item.
When's it going to be ready? Because I heard that the coming on here, like it's the fee is the studio.
Yeah.
So when do we? How many builders have we got on the job?
We're starting the build in 2025.
Great.
Yeah.
Although a little longer than I'd anticipated.
Well, we've got a lot to
My
go
agent
through.
said that we'd be ready to move in sort of summertime. I don't know. You are MusicTech.
That is true.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a listen, because you might change your mind. So have a listen.
We're overlooking Lake Garda in an uninhabited area surrounded by forest. It's all sustainable with reclaimed pallets, but lots of glass for natural light. Very homely vibe with jungle prints, clean lines, and there's a mezzanine at the back. You've got 2 Vespers parked out front for when you need to go and get coffee with an artist you're working with.
Yeah.
Your free items, you've chosen a Mac Pro. Your interface is a UA Apollo X8P. Your DAW is Ableton Live 12 Studio. And then for your 6 main items, for speakers, you've got Barefoot Micromain 27s, an Akai MPC 4000. Your guitar is a 1970s Sunburst Gibson Hummingbird acoustic. Beautiful. Your piano is a Steinway Model B in mahogany restored by Piano Restorations. Your microphone is a Manley Gold valve mic, and for a synth, you've chosen the Dave Smith Prophet 6. How does that feel as your
I'm in heaven.
Forever Studio?
I'm in heaven. Can do anything with that. Love it.
Well,
See you in Lake Garda.
to complete it, you also get now one luxury item, which isn't a bit of studio kit, but something.
Subscription to... Oh, no.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, it can be a subscription, yeah.
Subscription to MusicTech.
Oh, okay. MusicTech
No, is it? I was just asking.
now
That wasn't
free.
my luxury item. I thought it was...
It's,
part
I
of the
mean,
deal.
musictech.com.
MusicTech.com.
No subscription required.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Straight in.
Yeah.
Luxury
Luxury
item
item.
that you have in your studio. Is there anything that's gone from studio to studio with you?
No, I mean, this is luxury. I think it is an espresso coffee machine.
Okay. Weren't joking about the Clooney vibes in Italy.
Not
Okay,
really,
nice.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. You'll know from my request as I came on. I don't drink caffeine, So it's decaf, but I don't know. There's something about just marking. You might have something to eat. You just have a decaf afterwards.
Yeah.
Although I don't even know if they'd send decaf pods over to Italy, because if you go to Italy and you say, can I have a decaf coffee, they're literally like, I don't drink either, so I'm like the laughing stock of Italy, because people go, he wants like a non-alcoholic beer and a decaf, like, who is this guy? Get him out, get him on the plane out.
Taking all of the fun out
two
of things.
things which are not, they don't go down well in Italy.
Okay. But you find as a decaf drink and an espresso one's good.
It's great.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
I'm fully caffeinated all the time.
Are you?
As you might be able to tell.
Love it.
Okay, well, that rounds up the My Forever Studio episode, and thank you so much, Fraser.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that was a luxurious bill from Fraser today.
Indeed it was. All that's left to say, though, from us is thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time for another adventure into Studio Foreverdom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.